It's working on it. There it is. See the timer started up there?
Yep.
No, we're not there yet. There we are. We are on.
Perfect.
Well, good morning. Good morning. We're getting ready. I didn't bring a gong today, so we're just going to breathe ourselves in. I'm Harry Morgan Moses. We'll do this again in a couple minutes, but thanks for being with us early. I'm here with my buddy and colleague, Dr. Ken Gordon, and coffee is not with us because we're 26 miles out at sea on an island. The island is called Catalina, for those of you who are not Californians. And Ken and Dr. Deb came out to be with us for a few days. And we thought, well, as long as we're here together, let's do a coffee with Casper on Tuesday at 8:30. So we're gonna breathe ourselves in, a little centering exercise, and Ken and I are gonna chat about what it is to be a living metaphysician in a world in transition, yeah? So, good morning, Candace from Palm Desert. Nice to see you. Thank you for the poster. We appreciate that. Let us know where you're checking in from. We're glad you're here. So we got coffee. We don't have Casper, but we got Ken.
That's right. Oh, wow.
Wow.
The best day ever.
Best day ever.
The best day ever.
We've been checking Casper's with the house sitter and dog sitter, and he's a happy camper, all is well. All right, we got a minute to go. Let us know where you are. We're happy you're here. Well, good morning, Loretta and Dave from Boise. Nice to see you guys this morning. And Toby, the Casper-inspired happy boy, which I know is bringing a lot of love to your family. That's great. Of course, we're live on Facebook and live on YouTube. Whoop, we got a little bit of a freeze there. Yep, there we go. We're back. Tech stuff is tech stuff. All right, there it is. It's 8:30. So let's everybody allow your eyes to close. We're going to take a big, deep breath in. We want to do that belly breath, let it get down as far as you can. And then we're going to relax our shoulders and let out the sound ah. So here we go. Big, deep breath in. Okay, relaxing the shoulders. And one more time. Big, deep breath in. Relax the shoulders. And then let that energy just come up into your heart center. And then let's just hang out in that heart center energy for just a little while together for these few minutes. So good morning, Reverend Trish, and nice to have you with us this morning. Let us know where you are as you're checking in. So I'm the Reverend Doc Harry Morgan Moses. Most of you all know that. Good morning, Carol from Whittier. Nice to see you. And this is the Reverend Doc Ken Gordon, as we say, the renowned Ken Gordon. So Ken Gordon is was the former president of Religious Science International, and then he became the leader of the Centers for Spiritual Living as the two organizations joined. And so he's been leading for the last 2 decades a huge awareness movement in the world, and he's made a great, huge contribution and continues to do so. Hey, Paul Fagan, the talented Paul Fagan, checking in from Hastings Mesa, Colorado. Nice to see you this morning. So here's where I sort of want to go. From where the boat is and bringing it out here to the island, it's some 74 miles, and 38 of it, 40 miles of it, is in the deep open sea. Good morning, Becky from South Carolina. And when me and my crewmate got out of the harbor channel and into the big sea, the waters were very rough. Not rough in a way that was really dangerous, but rough in a way, not that you don't always have to be mindful on a boat, but rough in a way that it was very uncomfortable. And here was the destination. The destination was to get out to Avalon Harbor in Catalina, and it was rough. And so the challenge is, how do you keep your faith? How do you keep your knowing that underneath there are the underlying arms when the weather and the circumstances banging you around?
Mm-hmm.
And what we see in the world right now is almost every day the headlines is something's sloshing you around, banging you this way or that.
And you got to follow the charts.
Yeah, and you got to. So that's what I really wanted you to talk about. How is it that you, and again, Ken and Deb, Dr. Ken and Deb live in Canada and are Canadians, naturally born Canadians, and all of a sudden there's all these waves happening between the U.S. and Canada and all this stuff, right? So how do you maintain your consciousness of peace and poise and balance, knowing that there's a greater power? This is what we try to do on Coffee with Casper all the time, is help you. Most of the people on Coffee with Casper understand that there's a unity of all life, that there's one life, one presence, energy and matter are interchangeable, and that we're connected to that one life. But nonetheless, even with that knowledge, we
it's
bump
in and
around.
out. It's in and out. It's like breathing.
Good morning, Arlen, from beautiful San Clemente, and I love your pictures from that beautiful area. And good morning, Becky. Nice to have you with us. Oh, Becky's already from South Carolina, and Becky loves the question.
Oh,
so there we go.
It's like you said. It's like breathing, though. We inhale and we exhale, and so being a human being, I sometimes find myself being caught up in the temporal world that's around me, and so my practice is to realize that it changes my mood just like my breathing does, where you inhale and you exhale. So I have my moments of terror, or whatever you want to call it, neuroses.
Freak out.
Yeah, freak out. My emotional highs and stuff like that. And then you go back to your practice. And your practice, I believe, is the inhalation. And the exhalation is when you let go and let free. And, I love your concept of the charts, though. I think I did a talk several years ago. I think it was at Stillmore, but I'm not sure. But, I talked about doing the coaster channel in British Columbia in a kayak. And we took off from the beach and we were headed someplace. And there was a period of time where we couldn't see land either behind us or in front of us. And we did not have a GPS.
Right.
We had a chart, and then what we had was a compass. And, if you followed the compass and you followed the chart and you stayed on course, you'd make it to where you wanted to go. If you missed it, you'd end up in Hawaii or the South Pacific from British Columbia. So you had to be diligent about it. And, I can remember the talk was, that the compass was really the principles that we espouse. It was spirit itself giving you direction, so you get connected to it. The chart was the principles that we adhere to within our own lives. In this particular case, I was talking about the Declaration of Principles of Dr. Holmes, or the standard that we live our lives by according to CSL, which is, our moral stance on where we go. And so what we believe. So if you followed the chart, you followed those, and if you followed the compass, knowing the compass is going to automatically take you where you want to go because it's never wrong, then the end result is you arrive at your place. So you can't
sometimes through discomfort.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
But that's the key with what's happening in the world today, and for that matter, what happened in the world 20 years ago and what's going to happen in the world 20 years from now, is you maintain that course according to the principles that you believe in. That whether we know it or not, probably 99.9% of us believe in it, which is the reality of a life that's well lived, and how to be connected, and how to be loving, and to make sure that there's health, wealth, and creative expression and loving relationship that is free flowing, not only for you but for everyone. That's the principle. That's the chart. And the spiritual knowing is the compass that gives you that direction. So you set your mind on the compass, you follow the compass, and then you bring in all of the different documentation and information that you receive from the chart to be able to follow through where you're going. You were talking about the drift coming to your boat where you're being pushed sideways, so you had to increase the power on one side in order to get through the rough water that you were in. And that's exactly what we need to do. We need to calibrate and fine-tune our own motivation. And to do that, it takes discipline. You can't just put it on autopilot and go down and have a nap and come up and expect you're going to be in the same location you were. You have to keep an eye on it. And that's what we do with the principal practices and the spiritual practices that we have in our life.
Yeah, and again, I love that you call it out. In other words, so what we're holding, all of us are holding, is the dawn of the fulfillment of the prayer, peace on earth and goodwill toward all humankind, right?
A word that works for everyone.
Right, revealing what the Old Testament says. Underneath there are the underlying arms, right? And if we can, when the waves are rough, get in touch with those underarms and keep the practice of drawing that awareness that there is a power for good in the universe, and it's underneath, it's protecting me. Underneath, it's guiding me.
Yep.
If I keep my awareness, what we always talk about here on Coffee with Casper, in tune with your I am nature, which is that part of you that came from the light, put on a coat of skins, and will return to the light.
That's right.
And that nature is fine. It's not interrupted by the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and because, look, when you're in the boat, let's go back to the boat. When you're in the boat, okay, you're perfectly safe, presumably. You know, your location is what? The 40 square feet that your boat encompasses.
Right.
And so, you know, that's where you're at. But the boat is moving. And this is the same with your consciousness. And so you have to be aware of the fact that you're going somewhere, so that what you can do is you can set the course in the first place. And where you're going is you're going to a life of fulfillment, a life of prosperity, a life of health, a life of joy, a life of love.
A life where I comfortably live my life and fulfill my purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you maintain that, and you put that with an assuredness that you will arrive there sooner or later. And if you don't, you miss it, then you'll get to Hawaii eventually.
Or not.
Or not, but...
But underneath you'll be in the underlying arms, you'll be okay.
That's the terror that we're talking
That's
about.
That's right.
Is that somehow or other we're going to miss the island.
It is.
We're going to end up in Japan.
Yeah. Good morning, Pam. Good morning, Lorraine from Saskatchewan, Canada. Did I pronounce that?
Saskatchewan.
Okay. Yeah. And good morning, Reverend Joy from San Diego. We love that you're all here. We're talking with the Reverend Dr. Ken Gordon, the great spiritual leader, about how challenging it is to really trust in the universe and trust your own I am nature, that no matter what the weather is going to do, you're going to be spiraling up. That the weather is always changing.
Yes.
It's like, you know, my friend Terry Cole Whitaker, who's no longer with us on this planet, she said, you know, years and years ago, she said, isn't it funny that all the science in the world has revealed that everything is moving, and therefore everything is changing. And so the only thing we really know for sure is that there's constant change, right?
Yeah.
And isn't it funny that human beings, even in the midst of knowing that there's always constant change, resist change with all their might.
And actually rebel against it,
yes,
and fight against it, which is so counterproductive for what they want to achieve or accomplish in their life. And
I think that's where that neuroses comes from, right? That you start paying attention to that fear and doubt, and then you do get rattled, and then it's hard to get back on track without a practice, right?
Well, and what you do is the basic principle is real simple. Is what you put your energy to expands. That's
where your attention goes, your energy flows, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. So the thing is that when something happens, when there's a hubbub, I really don't care what it is, whether or not it's a twisted knee or a headache or a political change or a financial change in your life. And the tendency for humanity is to focus on the loss or the difference in the change that you're talking about to such a degree that we actually begin expanding that painful spot instead of allowing it to come back to the truth. And the reason we do that is because we lose sight of the fact that we have a chart and a compass to get us there in the first place.
And that is anchoring yourself on the principle and the immediate guidance of the I Am presence.
It's embracing your faith in some spiritual truth and the principles that are there. And we know from Troward that the principles of spirit are always for the best, always good. Because if it weren't, then because it's infinite, then the end result is you'd have infinite chaos, which means total destruction.
Yeah.
As opposed to infinite love, using the agape term of it, not even agape, it's even something larger than that.
Unconditional, complete. Yeah.
The givingness of the universe to allow ourselves to expand that belief in our life, which of course becomes magnetic and draws and attracts everything into your life in order to fulfill it. And if you want to fulfill the chaos around you, just give it more energy and the chaos will expand. That I'll guarantee, or else I'll give you twice your consciousness back.
Yeah, right. Again, and that's the simple thing. If your attention is on the chaos, you're going to magnify the chaos.
Right.
And I'm talking with Casper, and I know one of your teachers that you loved along the way was Raymond Charles Barker.
Yes, definitely.
And I love the story of Raymond. Hey, Pam from Napa Valley Zone. I love the story about Raymond Charles Barker, that after his Sunday lectures to thousands of people in Tully Hall in Lincoln Center, that he'd go home and read. He liked reading the big New York Times Sunday paper. And he'd get in the hammock and read his New York Times Sunday paper. And then when he was finished with the paper, he'd throw it down and he said, "Thank God none of it's true," and take a nap.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I mean, and that's the expansive idea. The other thing Barker had a unconditional belief in the power of the mind. So when he did a spiritual mind treatment,
which is that one, we talked about that a few weeks, step 1 and step 2, and what do you mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, when he would do an affirmative prayer or do his prayer work, he would set his mind that must become the reality of the experience that he had from that moment, or for whoever he was doing that for. And if somebody, and this is human nature, if somebody came to him and said, Dr. Raymond, would you do this treatment for me, or would you do this prayer for me? He'd say yes. He'd give the prayer. And he said that inevitably, or not always, but most of the time, somebody would say, "Oh, that's so wonderful. Thank you so much. I sure hope it works." And he would say, "Okay, now you sit down and we'll do it again."
We're going to do it again, right? You can't hope won't work, right?
Yeah, because it's not hope that it works. It's
knowing.
It's knowing. It's the faith. It's the faith that compass that you've got in your hand that's pointing to north, okay?
Right.
Or pointing the direction that you want to go. That if you follow that, you will arrive there. And it is unquestionable. You cannot not trust it. Can you?
You have to trust it.
Can you imagine you coming over, and I think you even alluded to it, is that if you follow, it doesn't look like you're going straight on the GPS.
No.
But if you start fiddling with it, so that you get to point out the right way to go.
Yeah, right.
That the end result is you're going to get lost.
There's the battle of your ego and your high self right there.
That's
exactly,
right.
Exactly.
And isn't it the truth that I'll speak for myself, because I don't want to lay this on anybody else, and I know that there are avatars out there that probably know this far better than I do. But yet sometimes when I run into a little bit of chaos in my life, I actually think that I'm smarter than spirit.
I hate it when that happens.
And that I know how to fix it. And so what I do is I apply all of the intellectual knowledge that I have to fix the issue.
Yeah.
And as it gets worse and worse and worse and worse, eventually I surrender. So at some point in my experience in life, and not always, but a lot more than it used to be, I actually surrender before I have the arrogance to believe that I'm smarter than the universe and how it's going to unfold. And when I do that, that's when the universe picks me up and takes me in the right direction.
Very, very. I love that.
Yeah.
And again, that's where I want to say hi to Donna from my elementary school days. As she found us on Coffee with Casper. Good to see you, Donna. Nice to have you with us. So it just reminds me that it's that old joke. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice. That, and people somehow think that if they become aware of the principles of the unity of all life, if they become aware of the fact that to be born in the image means that the creative process in you is the same creative process that the thing itself is using, right?
Yes.
That's the image and likeness. What God knows is what we know is, and the thing is we don't know the difference between the thoughts we just think and the things that we really know that we embody, right?
Yes.
And the only way to get to that place of embodiment is through a daily practice, right? And I love that the great philosopher from the last century, in the Psalms, he said it's very simple, the daily practice. How do you know that you are doing a daily practice? And the answer is, well, daily you meditate and daily you do spiritual mind treatment, which is the knowing what God is, knowing I am that, and then using the power within you to visualize and embody the thing that you're trying to create, right? And until eventually, as we've talked about here on Coffee with Casper, until eventually the awareness of your transcendent authority it goes in front of you.
Yes.
And that's what we call the magic, right?
We call it magic, but it's probably the ordinary. If you release all your neuroses. The greatest gift that Dr. Holmes gave humanity was what he called spiritual mind treatment. And there are people who do it in 7 steps and people who do it in 3, but
and 5.
And 5. But I'm a 5er. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a 5er. Yeah. Exactly.
But the first one is recognition that there is a power.
We don't have time to teach the whole lesson now because we've already burned up our 20 minutes. We want to say hi to Reverend Patrick out there in Kauai doing that wonderful work. We are so glad all of you have been here today. What we know is that this week's Coffee with Casper will be available on Facebook and YouTube. And if you've found something valuable in this commingling that we're all sharing together, then share it on the internet any way you know how. If you belong to groups, put it out there. If you're on LinkedIn, put it out there. If you're on YouTube, like and follow. Let's just keep connecting light workers and all of us who have fallen into the great awareness of this truth are making a big contribution to humanity to reveal that prayer. Peace on earth and goodwill to all humanity and goodwill to the earth itself. So we've got a ways to go in birthing this new age, and we are the light workers who are doing that work in the world. So who you are is something special. I want to thank my special guest, the Reverend Dr. Ken Gordon, and also he already knows he's a cherished friend of mine, and I'm grateful he's in my heart, and so is his beautiful Dr. Deb, his wife, and we are building connections and belonging together, and we're so grateful to share it with you, you wonderful, wonderful souls out in the universe. And so we would say this, until we meet again, we invite you to go in the light, as the light and with the light. May the long-time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide you on your way. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Casper and I will be together, and we'll look forward to seeing you then. Bye for now. Have a great summer until we see each other. Bye.